Hi, I'm Mary Lacoursiere from the Nantucket Historical Association. And today I'm here with the 1800 House Tips and Tricks and 1800 House at Home to bring you yet another segment in my letter writing series. So the last time we met, we made a great envelope, the envelope that will definitely get the attention of anybody that gets it in the mail, including the postmaster. So today I thought we would make a card to go in it. One of the simplest things to make is a collage card. And there's a lot of versions of those. And we all made them when we were in school, and some of us are still making them, and our kids are probably making them. So there's all kinds of approaches to this. So today I'm going to show you a few tricks to sort of up your game in the collage world. Okay? But I have first here a few really fun pieces, some of which I've made and some of which I've gotten in the mail and I saved because I thought they were really great. But let me just show them to you and how effective they are. So here's a card that's just simply magazine ad that I cut into different shapes, slid a little map behind it, some decorative paper, and I cut out this really great fish and then of course cut them in half. So that's a lot of fun to do something like that. And then this card, it's just so simple and effective. I used a hole punch here and then put a piece of paper behind that so that it showed some paper in there. And then also just very simple, beautiful papers and beautiful prints that are just cut. So simple is really a good way to go. Now, we actually had a few envelopes the other day. I had a map envelope, which I really like to do, and you could make a card to fit with your envelope to match it or not, doesn't have to match. But again, this is something extremely simple. I used a large hole punch. I folded my map in half, punched it out, and then I just glued it to a card and then just have a little bit of edge on it. And it just makes a nice, very effective card, okay? Oh, and I have to show you this one too. This is actually made out of what I would assume might be some discarded artwork sent to me by my friend Patience. And it's just really beautiful, the composition, the color. So it's a great way to recycle some of your artwork that didn't quite make the cut, use your kids' work, and a great thing to do is to photocopy that, so then you're free to cut it up in any way that you want and use it as many times as you like, okay? So those are some things. Now, there's an infinite amount of material to use in this process, as we all know. These are some magazines, so think about isolating something kind of interesting, that if you take it out of context and put it with something else unexpected, makes a great surprise. You can always use a map, which is kind of my go-to. And then this is fun, 5 corners. We've all been stuck there at one point or another. And there's some really great visuals in this photograph that are fun to use. So that gives you lots of stuff to do. But before we get started, I wanted to show you some materials that I like to use for cutting. I always like to cut, if I'm cutting with a knife, which is often what I prefer to do, as well as scissors, I use a self-healing mat. A lot of us are familiar with this. If you don't have that, go to your kitchen and get your cutting board. Classic cutting board works great. It's pretty much the same thing. Here's a variety of tools that will help make cutting some interesting shapes, some, out of your papers. This is a rotary cutter, often used for fabric, but it's really great because you lay it down and you just roll along, and so you can make some squiggly lines and things like that. But be careful because it's very sharp, and always keep it locked when you're not using it. This is a hole punch, which is kind of large. Love this. And it makes for some fun things. We're going to use this today. Here's some pinking shears. They also are good. So if you don't want to cut a circle, or you don't want to cut out a detail, just cut around it with pinking shears and just give it a fancy edge. And this is a snap knife, well used, obviously, and it's great for cutting. If you don't have an X-Acto knife or something really fine, this will work just fine. And always cut, with your hands away. So be careful there, and it's got a safety on it as well. And then these are cuticle scissors, which come in really handy, and I'll show you how I'm going to use these today to cut out some detail. And of course, our waste sheet. As we know in the business, it's our catalog that we glue against so that we don't get glue on our work surface. So those are some of the materials that I like to use, some of the tools. A lot of these are in your junk drawer, in your toolbox. They're not necessarily artist supplies. So they are readily available, and you probably have them without trying too hard to find them. So last time we made this great envelope out of some Tony Sarg paper for our friend Stacy, and I thought I would make a card to go in it. So I'm going to start with just a plain card. This is a piece of cardstock that I've folded. On your downloadable materials from the envelopes, the card size is on there, so you can check it when you're making a piece of, if you don't have a pre-existing card and you're just cutting a piece of paper and folding it, look to that reference, but double check to make sure that it fits in your envelope, because sometimes when these get printed out on a computer printer, they might vary a little bit, so just double check it, and it's really easy to fix it. So I've checked that my card is going to fit in here. And yes, it does. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I actually took some of this paper that we had from the other day and I cut out some of the shapes. So the first shape that I'm going to cut out is I actually took the envelope that's right on the cover here and I cut him out. All right. And I've got him, it's a little fussy, but it's not too bad. I didn't want to get into cutting everything, but this is where a small set of scissors, if you've got a fine pair of sewing scissors, cuticle scissors work great, because you can really kind of come in and move them around and really get a fine into some of those really tight spots. Okay. So I left this bigger to show you, but what I want to do is I'm going to take my large hole punch and I'm going to cut a hole in this card. And the great thing here is you can see in the back, so I can kind of decide where I want that to go. So I'm going to put that right about there. And I'm going to give that a good punch and save this, because you might want to use it for something else. Okay, so now I've got a nice big hole. And I'm going to take my elephant and I'm going to have him peek through it. So I'm going to stick him in there, pull one of his ears out. How fun is that? And I left it large, so what you're going to do is we're going to put a little glue under his snout and under his ear and maybe a little bit back here to hold him down. So just a little dab. So I'm going to go to my glue sheet here. This is a little tricky, so just be careful, take your time. I think probably the thing I'm going to try first is back. I'm going to put it on my card. Just need a little bit. And I'm going to move him around. So I like that positioning there, and I'm going to push that down. So now he's going to stay where I put him. And now I'm just going to take my snout and give him a little bit of glue. And there we go. That's really all you're going to need for that. And now I know that I haven't cut it too short, so I'll take my pencil and I will trace here and around the edge of the card, and then I'm just going to cut that flush. So I have a nice clean edge. Okay. So we're just going to cut that guy. Now I looked at my paper where there's a lot of things on this paper that are really good to put on here. I cut out a few just circles from that hole punch in the solid pink area. So I'm going to put those on there. I cut out a few of the other guys, and I'm going to glue them around here, and I'm going to glue some inside. So let me show you. I finished this card up, and I put a pink circle that was just, and then I cut out some balloons and the balloons for this guy. And then I opened it up and I cut out the barbell fella, put him right here. And I'm going to make this like a thought bubble. I'm going to put a little hang tag here so I can write a little note to Stacy here. And there you have it. It's a great card for a great envelope. All right. So who wouldn't want to get that in the mail? And it fits right in there just beautifully. So again, if you guys want to share what you've made with us, please feel free to post it on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at AC History. We'd love to see what you're making while you're in your home studio. Okay, look forward to seeing you again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.